Metalheads, welcome to Grafikmetal, where metal is celebrated with design in mind. This is one of a 9-part series. It's an annual list where I give you my best metal albums of 2023, broken down within each of the different subgenres of metal, with this specific episode focusing on black metal, or more specifically, anything within the realm of black, folk, or melodic death metal. To be crystal clear, this is a personal preference list for entertainment and educational purposes, only with the intent of celebrating, supporting these amazing bands and the metal community as a whole. If you choose to comment, please respect me, each other, and the bands. And if you end up liking any of them, please find a way to support them. We as a metal community, we have to give back in order for the bands and this amazing music to continue to thrive. The rating system in which I use accounts for the following: the music, including musicianship, vocals, rhythm, melody, flair, variety, number of instruments, emotion, moments, and uniqueness. The production, including sound, flow, effects, vibe, originality, mixing, and the concept, which includes the name, theming, story, lyrics, design, and just overall like impact and inspiration. Each of those are measured, tallied up, and then given an overall score from 0 to 100. It is also very important to remember that these are albums, not songs, albums. So with that, let's get to it. Here are my top black metal albums of 2023. Number 10, Star Path by Dream Unending, an overall score of 84. Fantastic and original. The name of this band, along with the title for this sophomore release, fits this soundscape so well that you really do feel like you're simply waking up from a dream, and a dream in which you took an epic quest to find the secrets of the universe. It truly is beautiful and absolutely engaging. It's like a heavier version of Catatonia, or maybe a lighter version of Bellwitch. If the production was a little bit better, it really would have been in the running for Metal Album of the Year. Number 9, Black Flame Eternal by Cloak. An overall score of 85 for fans of Emperor, Behemoth, Immortal. Bludgeoning, powerful, emotional. This was top tier, grade A black metal at its finest. From the third album, they're from Atlanta. A band that really has started to announce themselves in the community. There's nothing that hasn't been done before per se, but they definitely did it better than, say, like, for example, Immortal, which also had a new album this year. Just saying. Number 8, Hellish Hunt by Grimheart. Overall score of 85. Following the same trend of not bringing much to the table or anything new to the table, but simply doing it the best job in that represented particular style of music. In this case, this is your folk melodic death metal representative of the year. And if I'm being a little honest, this was a pretty weak year for that specific subgenre of music. If anybody has actually any recommendation, I'm all ears. But for a debut album from this Hungary-based band, it's more than serviceable, and it's for fans of Insiferium, and it will definitely make you smile, dance, and just head bang right to the wolves in the blackened night. Number 7, How It Ends by Primordial. Overall 86 score. These larger-than-life juggernaut Irish bastards are on disc number frickin' 10 at this point, I believe. And most of them have made my list. Most of them. Not bad for a Bathory and Venom cover band, huh? If you don't know them, actually, this is not the album that I would recommend listening to first, because it's a little bit more of a departure for them and focused even more. They've always kind of been a hybrid, but in general, this focus even more on the prog rockish side. But this is still top notch. Have always loved this band. Their ability to focus on that singularity point, which is at the intersection of death, black, doom, and prog. It overlaps. It's or better yet, I mean, really their ability to be accessible while heavy at the same time. Both them and Enslaved consistently are doing it out for which makes the list. This time around, neither of them really had their strongest output, but I did feel like this one was a little bit stronger than Enslaved's. All right, we're on to number 6, Insidium by Witching, an overall score of 86. Another fresh new band, these gals and guys from Philadelphia, with this being their sophomore disc, and wow, what a breath of fresh frickin' air. Conceptually similar to Bathory in that they are, half black and half doom, but this is like a modern take of it. It gets additional influences clearly from deathcore and also prog. I wouldn't be surprised actually if they followed more of the path of like Primordial and Enslaved. It's something to keep an eye out, but I'm not gonna also beat around the bush. The secret sauce to what makes this album and this band worth your while is the lead frickin' vocals by Jacqui Power, who puts on just an absolute legendary performance. Just bonkers how good. If you like your metal with emotion, look no further. Cheers, Jacqui and Witching. You are a flame ready to burst. Number 5, Air Not Meant for Us by Fires in the Distance, an overall score of 87. Am I the only one that feels like this band has been around forever? And yet, shockingly, this is only their sophomore release? That's impressive to have such a seasoned and polished sound and brand in just a couple years. It's like it's crazy. I kind of think of them also as a new Bellacore, another band that I love and I do recommend them. But unfortunately for us fans, they take their freaking sweet ass time releasing stuff. So, these guys from Newington, Connecticut, are similar. They're very similar, but I do think that they lean a little bit more towards like the My Dying Bride kind of camp. And Craig DeBasis, like his baritone, heavy and soothing vocals already honestly feels right at home, and you will too. Number 4, Crepuscule Natura by Uada, an overall score of 88. At first listen, it sounds like your typical black metal blueprint. But what makes this fourth album by Uada, based in Portland, Oregon, just ahead of the competition, or at least that separates them, is their unyielding dedication to the traditional new wave of British heavy metal, and just their ability to fuse that dual harmonic melodic guitar work effortlessly into the unhinged blackened death. If you like your black metal with melody, like Insomnium, this one is absolutely for you. And also, major shout outs to their badass branding. It will definitely serve them well as they continue on their quest to serve the darkness well. Number 3, 7 Crowns and 7 Seals by Sulphur Aeon. Overall score of 91. This was actually the very last album to make any of my lists. And it wasn't because it was controversial. It was just simply because I didn't come across them until December, and I didn't have much time to digest it. But when I did, I was blown away. This baby has everything I love about black metal. It's got the speed and energy of death, and the darkness and power of doom, and the melodic and charm of melodic death metal. It's packaged up, right, with a badass epic series of, just the Lovecraftian, stories, right? This is absolutely for you behemoth fans out there who wish that they would just push things a little bit more and add even more melody. We're getting there. Number 2, The Singularity, Phase 2 Xenotaph by Scar Symmetry, an overall score of 91. What do you want me to say about this somehow unknown legendary band? I mean, from Avesta, Sweden, they came back from a long hiatus actually for this is their 7th album. I will first say that originally you would come for Christian Elveston, who had the reputation, he still has the reputation of being one of the absolute best metal singers in all of the lands. But this, I I don't know, like they had to replace him, right? Which was not an easy feat, but I absolutely bow down for them for their ability to actually find a replacement through two singers. So they did it with Robert Carlson, who took on the harsh vocal side, and then Lars Pummelquist, which would take on the clean side of the vocals. And they did it seamlessly. Back at that time, what had happened back in '08, and then still today. I mean, they absolutely still sound phenomenal. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. Most Presium Est and Calma, along with Old in Flames. This is kind of the energy in which Scar Symmetry lives in. But at the end of the day, look, if you love melodic death metal, you're gonna love this band. Before we get to number one, here are some honorable and dishonorable mentions. We just spoke about them. In Flames. Their new disc is okay. If you're still a fan of this new, the second version of them, so to speak. If you're not familiar, this was like the gatekeepers of where melodic death metal originated. And their first, 5 or 6 albums are, they're godly. They're legendary in this space. But then they cut their hair, and in other words, they changed their sound to more of a alternative metalcore band. I don't know. They're a little bit all over the place, but generally speaking, this is, quote unquote, their second life. And with this second life, I'll be the first to admit that this album is way more of a return to form. It's strong, but it's not strong enough to make the cut. And Shining by Shining. Well, old friend, we meet again. I always have been a fan of this band, Nicholas in particular. They never disappoint, and this is no different. It's the usual same typical output from them, but I'll be the first to admit this wasn't absolutely their strongest. Maseroth by Sodomisery, killer album. Starts off with an absolute bang. The first half of this disc, it rivals anything on this list, but it didn't really quite have the staying power. The second half it wasn't as engaging as the first half, but My Misery, when they get things right, they're dangerous. This is a band that I'm definitely going to keep an eye out because they clearly have the talent to shine through the darkness. It's also a killer album cover too. It's not your typical black metal album cover, but I liked it. It was simple but yet very effective. And last, Black Braid 2 by Black Braid. The overrated album of the year. I don't know what you people are smoking. Not saying it's bad, but because everyone was obsessing over it, I gotta defend the reason why I just don't see it that way. So, Indigenous. Where? Somebody explain to me, where in the music do you hear that? You feel that? To my ears, I hear your typical blueprint standard black metal, nothing else. I criticized the first disc for being unfinished. This one, the second one, feels overproduced, overdesigned, and bloated as hell. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just giving my honest impression that, to me, it was just okay. It was nothing to have, to obsess over, and it definitely is not making my personal list. Give me Hellripper any day. And before you get lost, Hellripper will not be on this list because it will be in the thrash episode, because I feel like it fits better within the blackened thrash scene. All right, let's get to it. Number 1 black metal album of 2023. Painted on right, number 1, Sickened Seed by A Flourishing Scourge. Overall score of 92. Might be a controversial pick. Not because it's not fucking brilliant, but because of all the albums on this list. This is the one that I think is the hardest for people to potentially agree with. The reason being is because half the time it's death metal, and the other half it's prog rock. This sophomore album release from the band that's based in Seattle, Washington, has very much a Jekyll and Hyde kind of personality, and they don't even try to mask it. Plus, there was 2 key factors that this album had that really had a staying power. Number 1 is the fact that it was constant. It had no weakness from beginning, middle, and end. And number 2 is that it took advantage of breathing space. In design, we like to call it negative or white space, and it is absolutely critical to great composition because it balances things, and it also allows the designer to be able to, focus the user on what you want them to focus on, communication, right? At the end of the day, what makes metal is that change of pace, that willingness to go from a slow pace to a really fast or a really heavy breakdown instantaneously. It literally is the key to that emotional connection, that jolt in our heartbeat, and that ability to just jive and have a love for metal. And this album, I give this band kudos because they really took that to heart. They have a lot of segments that are just pure, soft, peaceful soundscapes that really allow you to have that breath. And because of that, it was an album I just kept finding myself listening to, and it's why I was number 1. So congratulations to them, and that was the list. Now you have 8 more to listen to for each of the other different subgenres, but for black metal specifically, and of course the links to those ones as well, but the black metal links to the playlist for both Spotify and YouTube are also down below. So until then, keep rocking. Cheers.